Today, we are going to talk about childhood wounds. And depending on the time and the audience interest and engagement, we will talk about what they are, where they come from, like how they form, how they show up in our everyday lives, and how we begin to heal from them, and what healing actually looks and feels like in real life. Now, before we begin, if you have a friend, sister, or family member who you feel might benefit from this conversation, take a moment and share this live with them so they can participate in the reflections and activities we'll be doing together, inshallah. And for those who are new here, my name is Umar, and I'm a coach who is deeply invested in the empowerment of women. Now, when I started offering my counseling sessions, and I started talking to ladies from all over the world, I noticed something. So many capable, intelligent, kind, and strong ladies are being held back by their limiting beliefs. The beliefs that they formed in early life, in their childhood, like, oh, I'm not good enough, or I have to overachieve to be loved, or, for example, if I speak up, I lose friends. How powerful would we be if those beliefs no longer had any authority over us? That's what today's life really all about. So ladies, feel free to post any questions in the live chat because I will be keeping an eye on that, inshallah. And also make sure to use live reactions, the hearts and the thumbs up and that kind of stuff to let me know that you're loving something and it's resonating with you. Because you're not just listening today, you are part of the conversation, bi'idhnillah. I've got some audience in Zoom as well, and those are the audience who wish to ask questions in mic. And if any of you want to also join my Zoom audience, then you can always, inshallah, find it in the description of this video. All right, so let's talk about what inspired this live session. One of the mothers I've been meeting with recently shared her struggles around her daughter's school. Her daughter is overweight, and the school assigned a health worker to support her in reaching a healthier weight. And the guidance was to limit sugar, focus on healthier meals and encourage a more active lifestyle, the kind of advice most parents try to follow anyway, regardless of their child's weight. And while we were talking, she told me herself that diabetes runs in her family. So her daughter is at high risk of getting diabetes if she stayed this weight. So logically, everything made sense. But emotionally, she was a mess. She became very defensive, protecting her daughter, saying things like, but she's beautiful the way she is, and the children are supposed to be chubby. And she told me that every time her daughter asked for snacks, and she had to offer a healthier alternative because the school is going to be weighing her every week. So she found herself crying afterwards out of guilt and out of feeling horrible for denying her daughter something she can give her. Now, once her daughter took a bag of cookies away. Her daughter took a bag of cookies and started eating. And when she saw that, obviously her daughter has already eaten some cookies, so she told her, "It's okay. Let's keep the rest for later, and let's have some, let's have food to eat." And then she told me that she felt really terrible about it. And as we spoke about her childhood, something started appearing. It was like a thought process, a pattern. So she grew up not having a lot. And she wanted to give her daughter everything that she never had. And I gently pointed out that she may have been trying to live her childhood through her daughter. And she agreed that that might be the case. And also, she shared that she had been bullied for her weight growing up. And so every part of her rebelled against her daughter being labeled as overweight. And she was protecting her child. But she was not only protecting her child, she was actually like protecting her younger self, if that makes sense, because that part never got to heal. Ladies, I want to ask you this question. What would happen if she never became aware of this thought process of hers? What would happen? Take a moment and answer in the chat. I am looking. What would happen if she never thought about her own childhood and how it relates to her own child and how she's showing up as a mother? What would happen to her parenting? What would happen to her daughter? She may subconsciously sabotage her daughter's progress. She might take one step forward knowing that this is the right thing to do, but she might take two steps back protecting her daughter from something that the daughter doesn't need protection from. Yeah, some sisters are saying she will try to protect the child like she wanted to be protected. Exactly. She would be giving her that which is not needed. Yes, would actually be harming her daughter instead of helping her or protecting her. See, sisters, wounds in the childhood are a normal part of life because we are incapable as humans to be perfect. And just imagine, even if we were perfect in our parenting and our parents were perfect in their parenting, every person is born with their own personalities, their own thought process. Some people are naturally careless. Some people are very sensitive. Even the tiniest thing, they have the tendency of taking it negatively or feeling it more deeply. So, for example, if I tell one of my kids, you can't go out today, one of them might think, oh, it's okay, I can go tomorrow. And he might go and start playing nonchalantly, not caring, okay, or, one of those things. But my another child might take a completely different meaning to it. And he might start thinking that mama doesn't like me, that's why she doesn't want me to go outside and play. And even if I reassured him that I love you and it's not because I don't like you or anything like that, I like you, but you can, it's maybe raining or whatever. Even if I reassure him, there's still a chance that he could hold on to his belief. And like I have no control over his thought process and his belief process, right? However, these wounds don't happen from like one incident of mama didn't let me go outside. It happens when the reoccurring things happen. So that is reassuring to know that if something kept happening repeatedly, that's naturally when the wound starts forming. Once or twice might not have any lifelong impact unless it's something really drastic. Then it can, only even one time can have a lifelong impact, like maybe death or maybe war, for example, that kind of drastic circumstances. So the thing is, children need to belong, accepted, given unconditional love, security. They need a present adult who can help them make sense of the world around them and help them process their emotions. And when they don't get that, wounds start appearing. And it doesn't necessarily doesn't necessarily mean that something bad happened to the child. It could also be the absence of something, like, for example, the emotional neglect or, you know, that kind of thing, not having enough food growing up, being poor. So that kind of thing also leaves an impact. Now, what is important to remember, you are not responsible for what happened to you in your childhood. You're not responsible for the wounds that formed. That was out of your control. Things happened. What you are responsible, though, is for healing from them so they don't keep impacting your children, so that you can live your life to the fullest, so you can be free from those negative beliefs that are holding you back. You are responsible for breaking the cycle. So for not passing on the pain. The pain needs to stop at you. So ladies, imagine there is a girl who is about like 5 years old. And that small girl goes to her uncle's house one day. And what happens in her uncle's house is like it's a family get together, everybody is having fun, and the cousins are all playing together. And she goes to her cousin's room. And this time, the girl cousin is not there. So she's just sitting there. And all of a sudden, her boy cousin comes in, and he's a bit older than her. And now that boy cousin, he just starts talking to her. And then after a bit, he starts getting close to her and he held her hand. For example, like tries to have her sit on his lap. And at that point, something doesn't feel right to her, even at 5 years old. And she starts feeling a bit panicky, and she knows something is not right, and the cousin is still talking to her, but she's everything in her body wants to run away. And at that point, what happens is like they start hearing her uncle's voice coming. And all of a sudden, like the boy gets up quickly and starts to leave. And now let's pause here before we continue this story. Let's pause here. Now, at this moment, her brain has taken a screenshot of everything that's around her. Maybe the cousin was wearing a perfume, so the screenshot of the perfume, the setting, the lighting was dim, or lighting was like it was very bright, or like whatever is there, like what kind of clothes her cousin was wearing. Her brain has taken a screenshot of everything. Now the wound has been formed. Now this wound, if it's not dealt with, not processed, it might stay in her body. And like maybe 5, 10, or not even 5, 10, like maybe even in the like when she's a grown woman, like in her 20s, she might she might completely forget about that incident that happened. But she doesn't know why she doesn't like to go to her uncle's house anymore. She doesn't know, like, okay, even if she went to her uncle's house, that specific room she hates so much, like if somebody's there, she wouldn't go inside. Like if the ladies are there for like they've set up the table there, everybody's sitting and eating over there, she wouldn't want to go. And if she did go inside, like she would just want to run away. And then if anybody asked her, like, why don't you like going into your uncle's house? Like what? Like he's so kind to you, everybody's so nice to you. Like why? She won't be able to explain that irrational fear that she has. Something might happen. Like she doesn't know because she'd forgotten. Consciously she'd forgotten, but her body still remembers. The subconscious still remembers. Now, imagine that when uncle was coming, uncle saw the boy, uncle saw that he was with the girl, and uncle, felt something. So instead of ignoring it, he came and he brought the boy in and started talking to him, and like he might have noticed something is like wrong, something felt off, so he gave his son a good scolding. For example, told him, never, I should, whatever. He dealt with the situation in a way that made the girl feel safe again. Now that means if it's been processed, if it's been talked about, maybe later on her mother talked to her about it as well. Okay, your uncle told me something happened, and did you not feel safe, or did anything happen? What happened? So like you were able to talk to an adult who helped you make sense of what happened, and that like how you're going to be protected. And later on, your mom doesn't leave you alone, things like that. You can always, whenever you're feeling uncomfortable, you can always scream or whatever. So if she helped you, if your mother helped you then, and your uncle helped you, and you felt protected, and you felt loved, and you felt seen, and you didn't have to live with this. You don't have to live with this for the rest of your life. Then that means that inshallah, those triggers or the wound is not going to hold like that. It's been dealt with. So that is not going to limit your experience as a grown up. Where, I mean, and in both scenarios, let's assume that you've completely forgotten that this incident ever happened. But if it's never been dealt with, your subconscious will remember or feel unsafe. Later on, you might be like a bit too sensitive to being touched in any context, like somebody coming close to you, even like if it's a female, for example, you might start getting really scared, like, or okay, uncomfortable. You might like have aversion to touch, and like maybe even you might struggle with your relationship with your husband, for example, because maybe a perfume he wears, or maybe like something he does that reminds you of that incident, or you reminds your subconscious of that incident. So those kind of things can happen when we don't process our pains. Now, let's imagine that you've completely forgotten everything that's happened in your childhood. You don't know where to begin or how to heal from it. So in that case, it is very good to follow your triggers now. To follow your triggers now. And what does that mean? That means that triggers are information. When you all of a sudden start feeling panicky, start feeling apprehensive, you start feeling angry, you start feeling scared, like, okay, whatever like trigger happens, it's an information. It is telling you that something over here needs attention and care. So, a very good way to know is to start following your triggers. All right, so let's take a scenario. A sister said that my husband yells at my kids, and I feel really upset when that happens. I feel really triggered when that happens. And sisters, I'm reading your messages. If you have any questions at any point, please make sure to type them down in the chat. We're discussing a scenario where the husband yells at kids, and now you have this trigger. You feel really annoyed. You feel really angry, and you want to protect your kids. Now, the trigger could mean something really harmless, like, okay, that this isn't aligned with your values. This is not what you prefer. This is not what you like. This is not, you don't feel this, you don't think this is right. So a trigger could be, just this much, but it could also mean something deeper. It might mean something deeper. It could mean something like, growing up, you were yelled at, for example. So now even if your husband is raising his voice, not even yelling, just raising his voice a little bit, it just sounds danger bells in your brain, and you want to protect your child. You want to interrupt, you want to completely run and get your child out of that situation. So listening to your triggers. Now, ladies, any of you who wants to talk about the triggers openly with me, then we can process it together so that our audience can see how this looks like in real life. Can you mention anything that triggers you, that gives you an emotional reaction?
Yes, I am quite overwhelmed by the workload. So it's
Overwhelmed, yes.
actually become a lot. And yes, because I just told you about my speed being slow, so it triggers a lot, because it all piles up, and then
Mm-hmm.
obviously I take it out on my kids. So it's not like I hit them a lot, but yeah, I do shout at times. So and they're small; they're just 6 and 3.5.
Yeah. So you get overwhelmed, and how else does that
Yeah.
show up in your life when you get really overwhelmed about work? Does it like if your kids make any mess, you become hypersensitive to that?
Yeah, it's both actually. At times I console myself and I'm fine with it, but at times, yes, I do get angry. The piled up work, the messy house, and all. Or food is never on time. Lunch is never on time. And I had been diagnosed with sugar 2 months back.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
so the doctor asked me to eat on time. Now I am the one who is cooking. I'm the one who's doing everything, and then I have to eat on time also. So it's actually affecting my emotional and physical.
Hmm. Yeah, right. So, and you think that might be linked to underlying belief from your mother when she kept telling you that you were too slow? Do you hear her
I don't
voice in
think
your
so
head?
Yeah, somewhat yes. But it's like kind of a reminder I use it as, because
Hmm.
my mother is very good at work. She's fast and she does it very nice. She's very clean, and
Yeah.
she's the one who thought it, obviously. So she's this kind of inspiration we have, that yeah, we have to be like our mother. So it's
Mm.
not negative, I think. I do understand and accept, yes, I am stupid. But then it's like something I haven't been able to change also, because that's how I am. That's my personality. And
Mm.
but I still need to work a lot. So now, I am swinging in between. Like I can't change myself, but I have to do this also.
You can't change yourself, but you have to do what?
I like, we do have to work, right? I cannot avoid to
Yeah.
doing work at home. There's so much to
Yeah.
do at times. We have kids also, but then I can't even do it fast. And I'll be starting my job from tomorrow, inshallah. So now I
I
am a
hope.
bit worried that how will I adjust this cycle completely?
Yes. So what I saw from your messages, from your tone, is that you're approaching yourself with a bit of compassion. You're not being hard on yourself. You're not thinking it like, ugh, what's wrong with me? Is there any part of you that's thinking, ugh, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just get everything done like my mother?
No, I don't think that actually. I do accept that this is how I am and I will do it fine. But then, at times, like maybe if I would have been faster, it would have been different. So that sweeps in some time, like it's all jumbled up in my brain. Like, no, this is how I am, but no, I need to be a bit faster also. So I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, so acceptance is the first thing, and and you've done that. You've done that. What we saw is that have not seen that this trigger of being like overwhelmed. We've not seen that. This trigger is making you very incapable. It's not like affecting you in a day-to-day life, because what we see is that a little bit of acceptance, alhamdulillah, that is good. But there are things that can still improve, that can still get better, and that is trying to slowly give yourself a new belief, because it does seem like you do believe that you're very slow. So then this belief, when we enter a room wearing a yellow glasses, for example, we might find everything tinted a little bit yellow. So we might find a lot of yellow things inside the room. It's the same thing
Mm.
with your beliefs. When you have a particular belief about something, then you find, your subconscious keep finding evidences to support that belief. So then you might not notice like, oh, how efficiently you prepared the food for everybody and you fed them all like within half an hour, everything was done. You might like, it might happen, but it might completely get overlooked by your subconscious brain, because it's not looking for evidences that you can be fast, you can be efficient. It's only looking for evidences that you're very slow. So this belief then keeps getting reinforced again and again in your brain. So then one thing that you can do consciously now is that you can start forming a new belief. Like, for example, I can be fast when I need to. So it doesn't have to be completely drastically changed to believe, like, okay, from being believing I'm very slow to believing like I'm a Superman. No, like you change your belief slowly and gradually. So at first, maybe you might consciously start replacing your belief by, I can be fast when I need to. I can be efficient when it's needed. And then you can look for evidences around you. So, for example, one day you came home and you needed to get the dinner ready within like an hour. Like, and so not only you got the dinner ready within an hour, you actually even took a shower, you even maybe pressed or ironed some clothes, and all of that you did within an hour. So then, you give yourself this proof. Oh, see, I can actually be fast when it's needed. So this is how changing limiting beliefs works. And barakallahu fiki
Mm.
for participating and sharing that insight. Now let's go to what triggers are actually trying to tell you. Like we said, the triggers are messages. They're messengers. They're carrying messages. So whenever you're feeling triggered, you have to find out, do some journaling, do some thinking. Okay, what could be happening? Is it really about this situation over here, or is there something deeper going on? Now, ladies, this is an activity we're going to do together. Everybody get ready. If you're ready to do an activity with me, then type yes. Ready? All right. You're ready to do the activity with me? Then type yes. Now, sisters, we all know that just knowing the information is not going to help. It's actually when you do the hard work, when you actually do the activities, that's when healing starts happening. Close your eyes and think with your heart, not with your mind. What that means is follow your feelings, feel the feelings. So now that you're closing your eyes, I want you to visit your childhood. What is the general feeling that comes up? Notice that feeling. Take a mental note. Once we finish the activity, you can type that feeling for me. But right now, keep your eyes closed and just be with your feelings. Don't go in your mind. Don't start thinking logically about your childhood being so good or bad, whatever. No. Just whenever you think about your childhood, what feeling shows up? Is it sadness? Is it fear? Is it joy? Is it excitement? Notice the feeling. Now, what is what are you longing for the most in that moment as a child? What do you long for the most? Is it acceptance? Is it a smile? Is it hugs from your mother? Is it being liked by everybody? Did you notice that feeling? And then did you notice what you longed for the most? Now, think about grown-ups around you at that time. There's one thing adults around you did for you. You wish, what is one thing that you wish adults around you did for you when you were a child? Talk to you more, notice you more, spend time with you more. You're thinking about your parents, you're thinking about aunts and uncles, you're thinking about your teachers. What do you wish the adults around you did for you? All right, now open your eyes and type your answers for me. Type what came up. What was the answer to the feeling that came up in your child when you think about your childhood? What's the feeling that came up in your childhood? What is something that you longed for the most? What is something you wish adults around you did for you? I've got some answers. Some sisters are saying when they think about their childhood, they feel joy and happiness. Alhamdulillah. Our connection, which is still great, Alhamdulillah, could have been even better if I didn't have to go through this painful episode and I didn't have these memories. Yes, a sister is talking about um, something from life before marriage. This is if you could try to please make one complete message and send it. So then it makes sense. So I don't have to just go back and having to look and piece the puzzles together. Okay. A sister said, when, for example, he's talking about something from life before marriage, I might get triggered, and our connection could have been even better if I didn't have to go through this painful episode and didn't have those memories. Yes, sister, so we can't change what happened already. However, you can heal from it. And when you heal from it, it will no longer have this hold on you. It no longer affect your adult life, inshallah. Another sister is saying, when she thinks about her childhood, she feels sadness and anger. Yes, and what did you long for the most? Another sister is saying, I wish they would guide me to Islam more. Okay. Another sister is saying, when she thinks about her childhood, no emotional security, comparison, fear, responsibility. Now, those are very important information, sister. Now, keep it in mind. Keep note of that. My teacher should have taken extra effort to teach me. I wasn't a dumb child. No, you were not. As a kid, I should be protected from others who harm unknowingly. Yes, that's right. Now, ladies, whatever came up for you, those are very important information that could tell you how you're going to start working on your childhood and heal from those wounds. Now, what our parents and grown-ups around us couldn't give us. Now, that would have been ideal if we had gotten it from them, but since we didn't get it from them, all is not lost. We can give ourselves those things that we lacked in childhood. We can give ourselves those things that we lacked in childhood. We can process our emotions and we can release them as well. The best thing to do is whenever something negative happens to you in your life, is to release it, to cry about it. You know, Prophet ﷺ cried. There are entire works written about his tears. He used to cry. So releasing negativity through crying, movement, through a journal, through whatever your outlet is, releasing it. Allah has made us, given us those releases. See how, when a person dies, we are told to mourn over them for 3 days. We are given that space to heal and process. So healing and processing and letting it out is what stops it affecting you later on in life, that you can really move on from it. Similarly, if you have fought with a Muslim brother or a sister, you are given 3 days to process those emotions, to reflect upon them, to actually to be able to actually move on from it. So forgiveness is not, oh, I forgave everybody, everything that, so you never have to process the negativity. Otherwise, it gets stored in your body. If you bottle everything up, it gets stored in your body. And what happens is later on, it shows up in other ways. It shows up in your action, is in passive aggression remarks, or even in your body. Like bodily, you might feel sicker. People who hold everything in, like studies have shown, that they get chronic illnesses. So it is important, ladies, that we start healing and letting go of our traumas, of our wounds. I wished I was also adored by my dad publicly as he did to my sister, and also being emotionally available during my bad moments. Now, sister, this is a very brave of you to be honest with yourself like that. Now, your dad didn't do that for you, but you can do that for yourself. You can stop the cycle of pain. You can process it in a way that might make sense for you, that might heal you. So for example, like sincerely believing that your dad didn't realize what he was doing, or realizing that from his perspective, he was actually showing affection to everybody similarly. Whatever that might be, it might be helpful to talk to your brother, to your father about it, not in a blaming way, just in an understanding way, like just wanting to understand, like with curiosity. So if you really talk to him about it and he shared his experience and his point of view, you might start believing and seeing things differently. I gave you ladies a poll question, and that question was, is still in the chat, and it says, "Is it a good idea to revisit the past to heal?" And 77% of you said, "Yes, I agree." And 22% of you said, "No, it will traumatize you again." Now, both can be true. And let me explain it a little bit more. It is not a good idea to keep visiting the past without without a proper structure, without a proper healing structure. So if there's no healing structure, then just visiting past for the sake of it might just reopen the wounds. Might just make you feel worse without getting anything out of it, anything positive out of it. So revisiting the past in that case is not good. It's not good to be stuck in the negative cycles or to visit the past with to adhere and cling to this victim mentality, like everything bad happens to me and there's no justification, no reason, nothing. It's just like staying stuck in this victim mentality. And so, some people get very attached to the therapy or counseling because they keep getting attached to this cycle of like, okay, going back and just feeling bad about it, and then coming to the future, and then going back again, and then feeling bad about themselves. So they become very attached to this cycle. So we don't want to get sucked into this cycle. So our visit to the past should be purposeful, should be structured, and in that way, it could be deeply healing. So the two things that you need to keep in mind, that visiting past can become a problem if you get stuck in a negative cycle, or if that is making you adopt a victim mentality. Other than that, if you've got a proper structure, if you've got a proper clear path, um, a skilled counselor that can help you move from your past triggers, move you from past wounds, and actually replace your old beliefs and actually move on from it, then it is very good and empowering. Now, the thing is, many women don't feel comfortable about counseling, or they don't have the funds to take up multiple sessions, or maybe there are things that are too hard to talk about. And that is why I created this healing journal. It's got everything step by step, a whole structure to guide you towards healing at your own pace, in your own privacy. But there are only 20 copies available online. You can get it from the description. Once they are gone, I will be taking it down. Because after that, I want it to be available only as a physical book on Amazon. So I wanted this, first release to be small and for the women who are truly ready, because you being here is not accidental. You might not have been ready to hear these words like 5 years ago, and that's why you didn't come across similar content then. But then, there's an Arabic saying that I love. إذا جهز الطالب ظهر المعلم. That when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So you are here is because you're ready, and if you're ready to take this step, then that is then that is why I'm here for you, inshallah. So now, what does healing really look like, and how do I know if it's really working? I really want to tell you what healing is not. Healing is not, never being triggered. Even when you've healed, you will still be triggered at some point. So healing is not forgetting the past. It's not meant to make you forget it. And healing is not being happy all the time. Healing is not also even like getting over negative emotions quickly. Healing is not that. You might still need to take your time to get over negative things that happen in your life. What healing is, just like your physical wound. If you get an injury on your hand, for example, you get a physical wound, for example. Now, what happens to that wound is that you might have to clean it. You might have to put, some, what is it called? Rubbing alcohol or whatever that is to sanitize it. You might have to sanitize it so that the bacteria don't get inside. And then, once it's all cleaned, and that process can be painful, then it can slowly start healing. So childhood wounds are exactly like that. It might get worse before it gets better, and it might take its time to completely go away. You can't rush healing. All you can do is to provide right circumstances for it, and it will happen in its own time. And initially, it's like YouTube algorithms. If you're really into a specific type of content, for example, cooking, all of your YouTube feed will be full of like cooking content. And then if you like move on from it, and like you're more into stitching, for example, and you start watching stitching, then your content starts disappearing. The cooking content, it might not disappear completely at first. And it might keep resurfacing every now and then because you were once interested in that, to just see like if you're still interested in that. So childhood wounds can be like that. Like if you're when you're healing, the triggers might soften, but then they might keep showing up. But the frequency might start decreasing. And eventually, they're gone. And the good news is you don't have to remember everything to heal. A sister sent me a question. You say, like, I don't really remember anything from my past. Can I still heal? You don't have to remember everything to heal. You can just deal with the emotions that are surfacing up today, the patterns that you're noticing in your relationships, the way your body is reacting to stress, to closeness, or conflict. See if you have the tendency of being very defensive, for example. So pay attention to what's happening now. And you have to put in the work. Just gaining knowledge is not going to help you. Just knowing that you have a cold, for example, is not going to heal the cold. There's still work needs to be done. For example, taking supportive beverages like ginger, lemon, honey, that kind of stuff, resting. So you have to do the work. And what healing looks like is that your reactions slow down. You still feel emotions, but you don't explode. You don't necessarily shut down, or so they're not that intense. And you are able to actually give yourself a pause. That pause, if you're triggered and you can pause, oh, that is a very strong indication of healing, that you are actually healing, that you are actually in the right direction. And you stop needing constant validation. For example, your husband is not replying to your messages, or he seems more distant. You can think, okay, this might not be about me. You still focus on yourself. You don't feel really guilty and consumed by emotions. You can choose differently. You may, like, for example, if you're putting boundaries in place because you're healing, you may start overthinking the boundaries at first. You might wonder if you're doing it right. It might be awkward at first. So new patterns and behaviors do feel awkward in the beginning, and that's normal. But you will be able to do that still without drowning in guilt. You will feel generally better. And you may cry more at first. You may remember horrible things and you start crying about them. You may remember more at first. But eventually, when you start releasing those emotions that were pent up for a long time, you may notice that your nervous system is beginning to calm down. Physically, you don't feel as down anymore. There's no urgency to like fix or prove yourself or perform, and there's more ease. You're able to be present in the moment. People who've actually grown up with a toxic environment, often they report like, okay, their brain kind of fogs up, becomes cloudy at times. They're not as present in the moment. Sometimes they experience an out of body experience where they feel like, okay, like they're observing themselves from far away. They're not really present at what's happening there. And those kind of symptoms start disappearing slowly. And emotions don't have that strong hold on you anymore. That you are able to rationally think that, okay, I know I'm sad or I am dying or like not dying literally, but I'm like feeling horrible right now. I'm so angry right now, but I know this will pass. You're not completely engulfed in the emotion. Rather, you have this a part of you still out and rational. And also the strongest sign of healing is self-compassion. That your inner critic becomes kinder. And instead of like saying to yourself, oh, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this right? You can say to yourself, okay, I had a moment. That was bad. And it's okay. Everyone has moments like bad things happen, you know. So you're able to be compassionate to yourself. That is a very strong sign of healing. All right. Let me just quickly have a look at the questions. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Okay. My sister is saying, I wish I had been properly educated and not just left to my own devices, having to teach myself everything. If I didn't do something that was expected of me, if I didn't know how to do it, it was my fault and I was yelled at. Now, can you feel compassion for that little girl who was in that circumstances? If there was any other child in that circumstances, what are you going to tell her? How can you make things better for her? So, when you find the answer to that, then you can apply it to yourself. You can give yourself what you didn't have before. I have a relative query. Can I ask that? Yes, sister, let me unmute you. Yes, what's your question, sister?
I have a relative. So she's married. She has three kids, alhamdulillah. So when
Yeah,
she,
your
the
relative has three kids. Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and she's happily married. Her husband is an awesome man, mashallah.
Mm-hmm.
So when she was a kid, she had a boy relative who used to like her a lot. I would say love her a lot. And they were really small, like below 10 or something. So the boy claimed he loved her since ever. So
Mm,
if I go back her past, like maybe they were like 15 or 16 something, the boy approached her again to ask her to be with him, like, whatever, girlfriend, boyfriend, or whatever, we can say that.
mm-hmm.
And because he was relative, they had no problem, they could have gotten married. So
Okay.
she agreed, she was with him. And 2, 3 years later, the boy's parents did not agree. And it, it did not end in a good note, but she was like, if he is not taking any initiative, I shouldn't be going back. And it ended, I would say it ended with egos. Like, I am not the one who's running behind him. And then whatever
Okay.
happened, they finished their graduations, life went on, she got married, the boy got married, everything happened. Now, coming to this point, she says she can't forget that man. This time she has realized that that is the boy whom she actually loved. She did not realize this before.
Mm-hmm.
She realized it after getting married that that was the boy she loved actually, and she would have wanted to be with him. And because he is a relative, he's around her some, they meet sometime
Mm,
in marriages and this and that. Some occasions they keep meeting. So she's like, now I have a very nice husband, I have a very settled family, but I still keep thinking that is the boy whom actually I should have been with. And her husband is nowhere bad, he's very good. So she's actually currently going through a medical problem because of this. So she takes so much stress on that she's cheating or she's doing something wrong, and she's stuck that she's got hypertension problems and migraine problems, and she actually faints because of that. So every few days, she'll be taking stress over it, and then she faints, and it's become too much in the past 1 year. So she was sharing this with me, and she was like, "I just don't know how to get out of this." And my marriage might break. Her husband has started realizing there is some problem, and she's like, my marriage will break. I'll lose my husband, and I'm cheating on him, and she's just stuck with all this, and it's kind of just childhood trauma. She's just still carrying that. Why am I not with that boy if he still loves me and I still love him? And if this was not meant to be, then why is it still in my mind? Like, why can I not get rid of it? This
Mm.
is her problem. And she's not ready
Right.
to counsel. She's like, I will never counsel anyone. So I just don't know how to.
Why why is she not ready for counseling? What happened?
I think the main must be the general problem with girls, like, they have to pour out everything personal. So she never does that. She does not speak to anyone. It's all inside her. This is probably why she's painting, because it's all inside her. So
Mm.
she's like, no, I will not counsel. I don't want to go to anyone. This is how people think, right? If we're going to someone, we're giving out everything of our private lives.
Yeah.
So
Well,
she's
the thing
like,
is, do you see though, do you see that how keeping things inside is impacting her physically though? It's all related. So these symptoms that are experiencing guilt and faint, this is all related to her keeping it bottled inside. It's not, she's not letting herself process it properly and grieve over it properly because she's not letting herself do that. That is why the body, the body, there's a book that called The Body Keeps Score. The body remembers those things. So the body is just trying to get her attention, to pay attention to this, the body is getting more and more dramatic, like now fainting. So if she doesn't process it, if she doesn't grieve over it, if nothing is, no systems are put in place for her to be able to move on, then she's not, she's going to get worse. Now the thing is, sister, this is something I want to tell you. Things happen in our past, yeah? Like it's qadr, we can't change past. That happens. And but in that kind of like connection that that has gone on for that long, like from childhood, from when she was like maybe 10 to her adulthood, she obviously that kind of connection, it needs some proper healing, some proper work. And for her to be able to actually heal, she should she should like cut off everything, all the reminder to her. And I know it's harder, like you said, that the boy is a relative, so they have to meet up, but they shouldn't. And they have to put systems in place for it to happen that she is able to completely heal and move on. And even if it meant like for her to confiding in her relatives and saying things like, I can't be in family gatherings, it just gives me so many bad memories or so many like physical symptoms. I need to heal from it. So for that period of like healing, she should completely cut off from the family gatherings where he is going to be present. Otherwise, it's just keeping her stuck in the past. Like it's rewounding herself. She's rewounding herself. Now, this is one thing, which is being feeling affection for him. But then there's another thing for rida, like for actually believing that whatever Allah has written for her is best for her, and to trust in Allah's plan. And and healing also happens when she is actually she surrenders, right? She surrenders to Allah's plan. And Allah, she absolutely did the right thing, to be honest. Like if the boy is not pursuing her, she absolutely did the right thing. Subhanallah, it could have happened that they got gotten married and they would have been miserable because the parents wouldn't be happy, and the boy would be pursuing other girls, for example. If the boy didn't pursue her then, that means he had changed his mind by then. Like there were other things that he was focusing on. So it is a lot of it is believing that whatever Allah has written for her was best for her actually, and to keep reminding herself of the story of Dhul and how he was told to kill the boy, even though his parents would have been devastated. But this is what Allah chose that for them because the son was going to be their downfall. So that is Allah's kindness that He has given her a husband who loves her and a very nice family. And she's not going to guilt herself out of it, like, oh, I'm cheating, or like feeling guilty and feeling stressed about it. She's not. How she's going to get out of it is she needs a structure. She needs somebody to make a plan with her, and take her one step at a time towards healing. And yeah, there needs to be a plan, there needs to be discussion. Keeping it inside is not going to be good for her long term at all. As I say, saying, wow, this has a potential of ruining a family. Exactly. And she's saying that you are her only counsel. Yes, sister, because you have heard this session, inshallah, you can counsel your sister about it. You can let her listen to this video and see how the body keeps score and how the healing actually happens. And if she's able, she can get this journal of Etsy now, and the link is in the description below. All right, sisters, so we end it here. Since there are no more questions, Jazakumullah khair for joining. Jazakumullah khair for showing your support. If you think this message is really helpful, if you think this message can help other sisters, please press the heart button, the heart, the reactions, the heart and the thumbs up, or write a comment. This all tells YouTube that this is a worthy content that has a potential to help Muslim ladies. All right, sisters, subhanakallah wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk, wassalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.